Most men walk straight into relationships like a blindfolded boxer stepping into a trap. They're not ready. They don't know the game. And by the time they figure it out, it's too late. She's already inside your head, inside your habits, and you've lost control without ever knowing you had it. Here's the truth. No one told you growing up. She's testing you. Every woman does. From the moment you first meet, she's running evaluations. Are you weak? Are you needy? Will you chase her, bend for her, break for her? And here's the worst part: you've never tested her back. That stops today. This video isn't about hating women. It's about leveling the field. It's about giving you the mindset, the tools, and the awareness to know exactly who she is before you give her your time, your energy, or your body. If you're tired of getting played, subscribe now, because from this point forward, you're playing smart. Number 1. She's testing you the second you speak. You say, "Hi," and she's already measuring you. Not your height, not your clothes, not even your looks, really. She's measuring how you carry yourself. She's scanning your tone, your energy, your micro-reactions, the way you look at her, how fast you speak, whether you seem like a man who's used to attention or a man begging for it. You think it's just a casual conversation. She knows it's the opening round. And here's the kicker. You're not even aware the test started. This isn't manipulation. This isn't evil. This is instinct. Women test men automatically because deep down they need to know one thing. Is this man strong enough to handle me? Not just physically, emotionally, mentally, energetically. Is your presence calm and grounded? Or are you bouncing around her energy like a pinball? From that first second, she's subconsciously checking your frame, the emotional structure you live inside. Is it solid, or is it built on insecurity, hunger, and thirst? Look, most guys fumble this before they even know it's happening. They try too hard to impress. They overcompliment. They lean in too far, talk too fast, laugh too much. They treat her like she's a prize before she's done a single thing to earn that level of interest. And you know what that tells her? This man sees me as more valuable than himself. She'll never say that out loud, but she'll feel it, and she'll start to lose respect fast. Because here's something you need to burn into your brain. The moment you pedestalize her, you fail the first test. Stoic philosophy teaches us this one core principle. You are disturbed not by events, but by your perception of them. Epictetus. Apply that to dating, and here's what it means. You don't crumble because she's hot. You crumble because you've told yourself her beauty gives her power over you. That's weak. That's emotional slavery. And a woman will test to see if you live there. She'll throw you tiny curveballs. Maybe she takes a while to text back. Maybe she mentions her ex casually. Maybe she challenges your opinion just to see how you react. These aren't mistakes. These are probes. She wants to know, will you stay centered or get flustered? Will you double down or try to please? Will you hold your ground or fold? Now here's the truth. Passing the test doesn't mean being perfect. It means being grounded. If she senses that you don't need her, that you enjoy her, sure, but your world doesn't orbit her, that's when her curiosity spikes. Why? Because most men are desperate for female validation. But a man who doesn't chase, doesn't prove, doesn't react, that man, he's rare, he's attractive, he's dangerous in the best way. You become a mystery. A man she can't quite figure out. And guess what? That's when the game flips. She starts trying to impress you. Now this doesn't mean you play cold, robotic, or fake. You're still human. You still engage. But the difference is, you don't flinch. You're like a mountain in a storm. She can test all she wants. You're unshaken. So the next time you talk to a woman, even if it's the first message, the first glance, the first hey, remember this. The test has already begun, and you pass it by remembering who you are before she ever tries to define you. Quick note before we move on, the next part of this video, is going to show you exactly how your confidence can trigger both attraction and resistance in a woman. You'll want to stick around for that. But first, I want you to leave a mark. Drop a comment right now. I've felt that. If you've ever walked away from a woman and realized you gave away your power in the very first interaction, because admitting that, it's the first step toward never doing it again. Number 2, confidence turns her on, desperation kills it. You might think attraction is about looks, about saying the right thing, about being nice. But what really lights her up is something deeper. She can't always explain it, but she knows it when she feels it. And that thing is confidence, not arrogance, not fake bravado, real, quiet, grounded confidence, the kind that doesn't need to prove anything, the kind that walks into a room and doesn't look around for approval. That kind of energy, it pulls her in. Now flip that. Think about the opposite. Think about desperation, the guy who leans in too far, texts too fast, laughs too hard at her jokes. The guy who changes his tone the second she raises an eyebrow. He thinks he's being attentive. She sees it as weakness. Desperation doesn't come from affection, it comes from fear. The fear of losing her, the fear of being alone, the fear that if you don't act fast enough, she'll disappear. But here's the truth. She doesn't disappear because you waited too long. She disappears because she sensed you were afraid to lose her from the start. Women don't fall for fear. They don't respond to pleading energy. They respond to certainty, calm, stillness. The unshakable attitude that says, I want you, but I don't need you. That's not cold, that's powerful. And that power doesn't have to be loud. In fact, the quieter it is, the stronger it feels. You don't need to dominate a room. You just need to be fully rooted in yourself. When you know your value, you don't over-explain it. You don't rush to showcase it. You don't beg for recognition. And when she feels that, her attraction rises without her even knowing why. Let's take a moment here and be honest. Every man has had a moment where he slipped, where he over-invested, where he bent over backward for a woman who hadn't done anything to earn it. Maybe you're thinking of that moment right now. That one conversation, that one date, that one time you let your values slide because you wanted her too much. We've all done it. And if you've done it, you've also felt what happens next. Her interest fades, her messages get shorter, her energy cools. You start trying harder. But the harder you try, the faster she pulls away. It's not personal, it's psychological. She feels you're not choosing her from a place of strength. You're reaching for her from a place of need. And neediness, in her subconscious, signals danger. Not physical danger, but emotional instability. The kind of man who needs her attention to feel okay is not the kind of man who can lead, protect, or inspire. She might not say that out loud. She might not even think it in words. But her instincts scream it loud and clear. This is where Stoicism flips the script. You don't get stronger by chasing. You get stronger by controlling the only thing you can yourself. That includes your thoughts, your emotional reactions, and your sense of worth. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. So when she delays her reply, when she gives you mixed signals, when she flirts with uncertainty, your confidence becomes your filter. You don't panic, you don't spiral, you simply notice, you evaluate. And if her behavior doesn't meet your standard, you move on, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. When a woman feels that you're not shaken by her, not obsessed, not chasing, but simply fully present in your own values, starts to lean in, that's when the dynamic shifts. That's when she starts to wonder about you, starts to earn you, starts to show up in a way she didn't before. But here's the key, you can't fake it. Women are built to detect emotional inconsistency. If you act confident but you're secretly panicking inside, she'll feel the disconnect. Confidence has to be lived. And it starts in your choices, how you spend your time, how you set boundaries, how you handle silence. You want to flip the script? Start by slowing down. Let her speak into the space you create. Let her feel that you are not rushing to impress, that you are observing, choosing, deciding. That alone makes you stand out more than anything clever you could say. And if you've ever felt the sting of being too eager, too available, too reactive, just know that it's not the end. It's a lesson, one you needed, one that will sharpen you, so that the next time she looks at you with that same test in her eyes, you won't flinch, you'll smile. Not because you're trying to pass, but because you already know who you are. If you're ready to stop proving and start choosing, drop this in the comments. I want this. We're just getting started. Number 3. Emotional games are survival instincts. Let's clear something up right now. When a woman plays emotional games, it's not always about manipulation. It's not about being cruel or calculated. In many cases, it's survival. It's instinct. And if you don't understand that, you'll keep getting caught in loops that drain your energy, confuse your mind, and break your frame. You've probably seen it happen. One minute she's warm, playful, leaning in. The next, she's distant, moody, acting like you did something wrong. It makes no sense on the surface, but what looks like inconsistency is often her subconscious trying to find safety. She's testing your presence, not with words, but with shifts in emotion. It's her way of scanning the room, checking if you'll react, if you'll bend, if you'll fall into her emotional rhythm or stand firm in yours. It's not personal, it's primal. You've got to understand how deep this wiring goes. For thousands of years, a woman's survival literally depended on selecting a man who wouldn't fold under pressure. Not just someone strong, but someone emotionally stable. Someone she could trust when things got chaotic. So when she pokes, when she pulls back, when she throws out a challenge, it's not always about the challenge itself. It's about watching how you handle it. If you take the bait, get flustered, start explaining yourself, or chasing, she sees you're not grounded. And even if she doesn't say it, something inside her disconnects. But if you stay calm, if you hold your line, if you listen without reacting too faster, instincts start to relax. That's the key. You don't win these games by playing harder. You win by not playing at all, by staying rooted in who you are, no matter what energy she brings to the table. And here's what most guys miss. Emotional games only work on men who don't know how to sit in discomfort. If you're always rushing to fix things, make her happy, or smooth over every mood swing, you're signaling weakness. She doesn't want you to chase her feelings. She wants to feel your steadiness in the storm. Stoicism teaches you to observe without absorbing, to respond, not react. That applies here more than anywhere else. When she spirals emotionally, your role isn't to mirror her chaos, it's to anchor it. That's what separates boys from men. That's what makes her feel safe. And let's be honest, you've probably been caught in this before. Tried to explain away a fight that made no sense. Got pulled into an argument over nothing. Felt like the rules changed mid-conversation. That wasn't about logic. That was instinct at play. When you see it for what it is, everything shifts. You stop trying to win the emotional tug-of-war. You stay still, present, clear. And from that place, you decide if this is the kind of energy you're willing to allow in your life. If this hit home, drop a comment right now. I've seen this. Next up, we break down 5 female archetypes that drain your time, energy, and focus without you even realizing it. Stay sharp. Number 4. The 5 female archetypes that drain you. Not every woman in your life is meant to stay in it. Some bring clarity, some bring chaos, and some, without even realizing it, pull energy from you in ways that leave you unfocused, reactive, and emotionally tired. That's not always because they're bad people, it's because you didn't recognize the pattern fast enough. See, there are 5 common female archetypes that quietly drain men. They don't always scream for attention, Sometimes they come in soft, sweet, even seductive. But once you know the signs, you can spot them early and protect your frame before it fractures. Let's start with the first, the chaos seeker. She doesn't feel alive unless something's going wrong. If everything's peaceful, she'll stir up conflict just to feel something. One day it's affection, the next it's accusation. She needs turbulence to feel connected. And if you're not careful, she'll train you to confuse anxiety with attraction. Next is the approval hunter. She feeds on compliments, constantly fishing for attention, validation, reassurance. No matter how much you give, it's never enough. And if you ever stop or even pause, she takes it personally. You'll end up spending all your energy trying to keep her ego inflated. Meanwhile, your edge disappears. Then there's the queen of entitlement. She believes just being around is the gift. You're expected to give, provide, chase without question. There's no effort, no reciprocity, just demands wrapped in pretty smiles. She views your value through what you do for her, not who you are. The fourth archetype is the emotional dependent. At first, she comes across as deeply vulnerable. You'll feel the urge to protect her, fix things, be her rock. But soon you realize her emotional storms are constant and you're her only umbrella. You stop leading your life because you're too busy stabilizing hers. That's not support. That's emotional hijacking. And finally, the silent controller. She's not loud. She's strategic. She doesn't argue, suggests, subtly shifts your choices, nudges you off your path with gentle input. Before long, you're second-guessing yourself, adjusting your actions, walking on eggshells to keep her happy. That's not partnership. That's quiet manipulation. These archetypes don't announce themselves. They creep in. And if you're a man who leads with empathy, you're most at risk, because they'll mirror your strengths until they wear them down. So, how do you protect yourself? You observe. Early, you ask, does she bring peace or pressure, clarity or confusion? Can I breathe around her? Am I always on edge? And if the answer points toward emotional drain, you don't fix it. You don't wait. You step back. Because a Stoic man doesn't try to change people. He chooses who he gives energy to. And once you see these patterns, there's no excuse to keep inviting them into your space. If you've dealt with even one of these before, you know the cost. So drop this in the comments if it hit. I've felt that. And if you're still here, make sure you subscribe and join the brotherhood. That's where we dig deeper, get sharper, and keep each other aligned. In the next section, we flip the script for real this time. It's time you stop getting tested and start testing back. Number 5. Flip the script, test her first. You've been tested your whole life. In every relationship, every first date, every moment you showed interest, you were being watched. Not just for what you said, but for how you reacted. And most guys never question it. They just play along. They try to impress, to prove, to win her approval like it's a prize. But what if you stopped playing that role? What if you flipped the script and started testing her instead? This isn't about games. It's not about manipulation. It's about clarity. If she's evaluating whether you're worth her time, shouldn't you be doing the same? Or are you so focused on being chosen that you forget to choose? The men who lead in relationships don't do it by force. They lead with intention. They observe. They ask themselves the right questions. Does she respect boundaries? Is she emotionally stable? Does she bring peace or tension? You're not judging her. You're reading the signals before you get attached. Testing her doesn't mean setting traps. It means being aware of how she responds to real-life pressure. What happens when you say no? When you take a few hours to reply? When you ask for something that requires effort on her part? A woman who's interested will stay engaged. She might be surprised, but she won't panic. A woman who's only in it for validation will start to pull away, fast. Most guys fear that response. They think if she loses interest, it means they messed up. Number It means she revealed the truth. And that truth saved you time, energy, maybe even years of emotional weight you didn't need to carry. You don't have to be cold. You don't have to act like you don't care. But you do have to stop handing over your power. If she doesn't show basic emotional maturity early on, what makes you think it gets better later? Spoiler, it doesn't. It gets harder, messier, more expensive mentally, emotionally, sometimes financially. You test her by staying grounded, by saying what you mean, by not rushing to fix or please. The moment you stop reacting and start watching, her real self starts to show. Some women are used to getting attention without effort. When they meet a man who doesn't fold, that's when they either rise to the challenge or walk away. Either way, you win. Because testing her isn't about control, it's about qualification. You're not here to be a free upgrade in someone's life. You're here to build with someone who brings equal value. Stoicism teaches us to remain calm in the face of discomfort, to observe without attachment. That's what testing is. It's watching how she handles discomfort without trying to control the outcome. Does she respect your time, your space, your standards? That's not something you guess. That's something you verify. And if this mindset is new to you, if you're used to being the one who always tries harder than, this shift might feel uncomfortable. Good. That's growth. That's your edge coming back online. Drop a comment if you're done chasing and ready to start qualifying. Say it simply, I'm watching now. And in the next section, we get specific. You'll learn the actual tests, the kind that reveal more than words ever will. Number 6. The respect test. Is she showing up or just showing? Attraction might pull her in, but respect is what makes her stay. Without it, everything falls apart, slowly, silently, then all at once. And here's what most men get wrong. They assume that if she's around, if she's texting, calling, spending time, that must mean she respects them. But that's not always true. Sometimes she's just showing up physically, showing interest on the surface. But underneath, there's no real admiration, no real investment. The real test is simple. Does she show up when it costs her something? Her time, her energy, her comfort. Because anyone can show up when it's easy. But the women who respect you, they make an effort even when it's not convenient. They don't flake last minute. They don't ignore your boundaries. They don't treat your time like it's disposable. This isn't about grand gestures. It's about consistency. Respect shows up in the little things. How she listens, how she speaks to you in public, how she reacts when you say no. It's not about whether she agrees with everything. It's about whether she still stays grounded when she doesn't. See, when a woman respects you, there's a different tone in the way she engages. She doesn't try to win arguments. She tries to understand. She doesn't throw low blows when upset. She stays centered. That doesn't mean she's perfect, but it means she values the connection more than her ego. But when a woman's just showing, there's a performance to it. She might post pictures with you, but never ask how you're actually doing. She might laugh at your jokes in front of others, but disrespect you behind closed doors. She might talk about building something together, but never lift a finger unless it benefits her first. That's not real. That's image maintenance. And if you're not paying attention, it's easy to mistake it for loyalty. So how do you test for respect? You slow down. You watch. You set a small boundary and see how she responds. Maybe you ask for a bit of space. Maybe you take a weekend to focus on your own goals. If she respects you, she gives you that room. If she only values control, she'll push back. She'll guilt you. She'll act like you've done something wrong. That reaction, that's the answer. Because respect always honors your individuality. It allows for distance without drama. It sees your time as valuable, your goals as important, your energy as limited. And here's something most men don't realize. The way a woman respects you early sets the tone for everything that comes next. If she talks over you now, she'll dismiss you later. If she tests your limits now and you don't hold them, she'll assume there are none. And once respect is gone, it rarely comes back. That's why you don't wait until things fall apart to test for it. You test early, quietly, through patience, through presence, through holding your line even when she's pushing. Because at the end of the day, you don't just want a partner who shows up. You want one who sees you, who values what you bring, who doesn't just want to be with you when things are fun, but stands with you when they're not. So ask yourself right now, is she showing up for real, or just showing? If you've ever had to pretend everything was fine just to keep her around, this is your wake-up call. And if this message landed, drop a comment right now. I've seen this. Because in the next section, we're going deeper into one of the most powerful emotional checks in a relationship, your silence and what it reveals when you finally use it. Number 7. The chaos trigger. Can she handle your silence? Silence. Most guys underestimate its power. They think words fix everything. They explain. They argue. They apologize too soon. But sometimes the most powerful move you can make is none at all. A grounded man knows when to speak, but more importantly, he knows when not to. And that silence, it reveals things fast, especially in her. You want to see how emotionally regulated she really is? Go quiet. Not in a manipulative way, not the cold shoulder, just grounded silence, stillness. You're not pulling away in anger. You're simply not reacting. And what happens next shows you who she truly is. Some women, especially the ones used to controlling the dynamic, will panic. They'll poke, they'll provoke, they'll escalate. Not because they're evil, but because silence takes away their usual grip on the situation. It forces them to sit with themselves. And if they're not used to that stillness, they'll try to break it. This is what I call the chaos trigger. The moment your calm presence disrupts her emotional autopilot. If she's only ever operated through drama, through noise, through pushing and pulling, then your silence becomes threatening. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you're not giving her what she's used to, a reaction. You've got to watch closely here. How does she respond to you not chasing, not fixing, not proving? Does she lean in with softness, curiosity, and reflection? Or does she come at you harder, blaming you for not caring enough, twisting your calm into distance, guilt, or coldness? You'll know within moments if your silence is met with grounded presence or triggered chaos. And here's the thing. A woman who can't handle your silence now will eventually resent your strength later, because she doesn't want stillness. She wants control. She wants noise. And if you're not careful, you'll start making noise just to keep her calm. That's the trap. You give up your peace to manage hers. You break your frame to protect hers. And the more you do that, the further you get from yourself. Stoicism teaches this clearly. We control our responses, not others' emotions. So when you hold your silence not as punishment, but as protection of your own clarity, you show her something rare. A man who doesn't need the last word. A man who doesn't chase closure. A man who can let things breathe without falling apart. Now, some women will interpret this silence as disinterest. Let them. The right woman will see it for what it is, strength, and she'll meet you there, quiet for quiet, clarity for clarity. No showers required. This is one of the most overlooked tests in a relationship. Can she handle your stillness? Can she sit in that space without demanding emotional noise just to feel connected? Because if she can't, you'll be signing up for a future full of arguments that solve nothing and conversations that never end. But when you find the one who meets your silence with presence, that's rare, that's peace, that's alignment. So if you've ever felt forced to speak just to keep her from unraveling, remember this: your silence isn't weakness, it's your filter. Use it. And if you've ever seen this chaos trigger play out in real time, drop it in the comments. I've felt that. Coming up next, we're breaking down the difference between a woman who's addicted to drama and one who's genuinely drawn to you. The contrast will shock you. Number 8. Is she addicted to drama or addicted to you? There's a fine line between passion and chaos, and if you're not paying attention, it's easy to confuse the two. A woman who constantly stirs up tension, arguments, or emotional roller coasters might tell you it's because she cares, that the highs and lows mean it's real. But let's get honest, there's a difference between being drawn to you and being addicted to the drama you create together. Some women aren't attracted to you as a man. They're addicted to the reaction they get from you. The intensity, the emotional spike, the push and pull that makes things feel alive for a while. These are the women who say, "I hate drama," and yet somehow it follows them into every relationship. Why? Because drama isn't something they hate. It's something they're wired to chase. It starts subtle. One day it's a sarcastic remark, then it's picking a fight over nothing. Then it's accusing you of being too distant when all you did was take a breath. But if you're not grounded, you'll fall for the bait. You'll react. You'll try to fix things. You'll match her emotional swings just to feel connected again. And in her mind, that confirms everything. This works. He engages when I create chaos. So the pattern begins. She escalates, you respond. Then you make up. The intimacy feels intense because it followed a fight, and that intensity gets mistaken for closeness. But it's not connection, it's cortisol. It's two nervous systems locked in dysfunction, calling it love. Now, contrast that with a woman who's addicted to you, your energy, your mindset, your grounded presence. She doesn't need drama to feel alive. She feels something when you're calm, when you hold space, when you listen without reacting. She finds peace exciting, not boring. She doesn't test your boundaries just to see if you'll break. She respects them. She doesn't create emotional messes just so you'll come clean them up. She's responsible for her own regulation, and because of that, she pulls the best out of you, not the worst. The question is, which type have you been attracting? More importantly, which type have you been tolerating? If you've been caught in loops of constant conflict, where the good moments only come after something blows up, that's not chemistry, that's chaos addiction, and both of you might be feeding it. Especially if you're afraid that without the drama, the passion dies. But real connection doesn't need adrenaline spikes. It grows in calm, it deepens in stability. And the only way to tell the difference is to step back and stop feeding the loop. Stoicism teaches this: don't be a slave to emotional highs and lows. Be the same man whether the world praises you or forgets you. That applies to relationships too. If she needs things to go wrong just to feel something right, she's not addicted to love. She's chasing drama to avoid herself. And if you've ever mistaken that kind of chaos for chemistry, you're not alone. It's one of the most common traps men fall into, especially if you confuse intensity with importance. But now you know. And the next time you feel the cycle building, you'll have a choice. Will you react or will you pause? If this hit a nerve, if you've lived through it, drop a comment. I felt that. Because in the next part, we're talking about what happens when you finally pull back, not to play games, but to regain power, and how the right woman responds when you stop giving energy to the wrong one. Number 9. Sex, power, and the lover track. Let's stop pretending sex is just about pleasure. For most men and most women, it's not. It's power. It's leverage, it's validation. And when you don't see that clearly, you end up giving more than just your body. You hand over your edge. There's a track some women put you on the second they sense you want them. It's not always intentional, but it's real. You get filtered into one of two roles, the provider or the lover. The provider gives time, attention, stability. The lover, he triggers something primal. He's not safe, he's wanted, not because he provides, but because he doesn't need to. Now, here's the twist. Most men want to be the lover, But the second they sleep with her, they flip into provider mode. They start caring too much, trying too hard, reaching for security instead of staying in their power. And she feels it. Suddenly, he's more available, more emotional, less centered. The very thing that made her attracted, the self-control, the mystery, the masculine tension, melts into comfort, into softness, into the kind of energy she respects less. Sex isn't the issue. Attachment is. The need to hold what you just had. The fear of losing her. That fear changes your energy, and in that shift, you lose your frame. So what's the solution? Stay grounded, even when it gets intimate, especially then. Because a man who can experience sex without letting it control him, that man becomes unforgettable. He doesn't chase, he doesn't beg, he doesn't fold into a role just to keep her attention. He remains who he was before, present, still, aware. She might test harder after intimacy. She might pull away just to see if you'll come running. Don't. Let her come back into your gravity. That's the lover track. Sex is not the end game, it's part of the dance. And if you want her to keep craving you, stay in rhythm. Keep your power. Let her feel your presence, not your pressure. And if you've ever lost that edge after getting close, this is your moment to reclaim it. Drop a comment if you've ever felt that shift. I want this. Because in the next part, we're going all in. You've done the work. You've seen the tests. Now it's time to lead. To become the man who doesn't chase, doesn't fold, and never looks back. Number 10. Disqualify, fast, invest, slow. Most men do it backwards. They invest fast and disqualify late. They meet a woman, feel a spark, and pour their time, energy, and attention into her before even asking one critical question: is she worth it? But real power, Stoic power, lies in reversing that. You disqualify fast. You observe. You measure. You look for how she moves, how she responds to pressure, how she respects your time, how she handles your silence. You don't get swept away by potential. You stay rooted in reality. This doesn't mean being cynical. It means being selective. When you meet someone new, your job isn't to impress. It's to evaluate. Can she match your mindset? Does she bring peace or confusion? Can she sit with tension, or does she run from it? You don't wait until you're emotionally tangled to find out. You pay attention from day one. And when something feels off, when her energy doesn't match her words, when you sense drama bubbling under the surface, you act. You don't explain it away. You don't try to fix it. You disqualify. You let her go early, before you're too deep, before you're attached. That's not harsh. That's discipline. Because the right woman doesn't need to be chased. She shows up. She stays consistent. She respects the slow burn. And you invest slow. You give her your time little by little. You reveal yourself piece by piece, not because you're playing hard to get, but because you understand the value of what you bring. Every moment you spend on the wrong person is time stolen from your purpose, your peace, your path. And the longer you ignore the signs, the harder it is to walk away later. You want a relationship that lasts? Start with boundaries that last. Disqualify fast, invest slow. That one mindset shift could save you years of emotional weight and bring you closer to the kind of woman who doesn't just want your attention, she earns your presence. If you've ever learned this the hard way, drop it in the comments right now. I've seen this. And remember, this isn't just dating advice. This is a new standard for how you show up, how you lead, and how you protect your peace like it's your life, because it is. You've made it to the end, and that already sets you apart. Most guys never take the time to understand the game, let alone master it. But you're rewiring how you move, how you see yourself, and how you handle women, power, and presence. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be aware. From this point forward, every move you make comes from clarity, not desperation, from grounded strength, not emotional chaos. That's the real shift. That's what separates the man who gets tested from the man who tests back. If you want to stay in this energy, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Every day, we break down Stoicism, strategy, and self-mastery in ways no one else will. And if you're ready to take it deeper, join the Stoic Brotherhood. That's where the real growth happens. The link's below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.